I was finishing up my shift at Burger King, wiping down the counters and cleaning the grills as the clock neared midnight. The fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow over the empty dining area, and I was looking forward to locking up and heading home. Just as I was about to turn off the open sign, the door chimed, and a man walked in. He was tall and gaunt, his eyes hidden behind a pair of dark sunglasses. He had an unsettling air about him, and I couldn't help but feel a shiver run down my spine as he approached the counter. I greeted him with a forced smile, trying to hide my unease. "Hi, welcome to Burger King. Just so you know, we're about to close," I said, hoping he would get the hint and order quickly. He didn't respond, just stared at the menu above my head. After a few tense moments, he finally spoke. "I'll have 6 Whopper meals, all large-sized, and make it quick." I was taken aback by the size of his order, especially at this late hour. But I nodded and got to work, punching in his order and relaying it to the kitchen. As the cooks hurried to prepare the food, I kept stealing glances at the man. He seemed agitated, tapping his fingers impatiently on the counter. Finally, the food was ready, and I bagged it all up, placing the drinks in a separate tray. I handed it to him, trying not to let my discomfort show. "That'll be $42.85, I said, my voice wavering slightly. He handed me a wad of cash without counting it and turned to leave. Just as he reached the door, he paused, his hand still on the handle. "Oh, and don't forget my son in the car." I froze, my blood running cold. "Your son?" I stammered. He nodded, a thin smile playing on his lips. "He's been very naughty. I think he needs to learn a lesson." My heart raced as I watched him step out and walk to his car. I glanced outside and saw a small figure huddled in the back seat. I couldn't make out much in the dim parking lot, but the sight sent a chill down my spine. I could feel something was terribly wrong. As he opened the back door, I saw a glimpse of a child's face, his eyes wide with fear. Without thinking, I rushed outside, my heart pounding in my chest. "Hey, is everything okay?" I called out. The man turned to me, his expression turning from cold to furious. "Mind your own business," he hissed. But I couldn't just stand there. Ignoring his warning, I took a few steps closer to the car, my eyes locked onto the terrified child. Before I could say or do anything else, the man slammed the door shut and sped away, tires screeching. I stood there, my heart heavy with a mix of relief and concern. What had I just witnessed? Was the child okay? I didn't know, but one thing was clear. I had stumbled upon something deeply disturbing, something that would haunt my thoughts for nights to come. One night when I had the late shift at Burger King, it was always quiet at that hour, just a few stragglers coming in for a late-night snack. The fluorescent lights hummed softly, and the smell of fries lingered in the air. I was wiping down the counters, going through the motions, when I heard a creaking sound. Figured it was just the old building settling in, but then I noticed a shadow out of the corner of my eye, like someone moving near the back door. I thought maybe a coworker was trying to prank me, so I called out, "Very funny, guys." No response. That's when I started feeling that cold, prickly feeling on the back of my neck. You know, like when you're being watched. I tried to brush it off and went back to work, but then I heard footsteps, like someone was walking along the tiled floor. Problem was, I was alone in there, or at least I thought I was. My heart started racing, and I decided to check the security cameras. Sure enough, there was no one else in the restaurant. But then, just as I was about to go back to my cleaning, the fryer suddenly sputtered to life on its own. The oil popped and crackled, like it was being used. I was freaked out, to say the least. I thought maybe it was some electrical glitch, so I turned off the fryer and headed for the back room. But the moment I stepped away, it turned back on. I froze, watching the fryer heat up all by itself. I noped out of there and decided to wait in the dining area until my shift was over. I thought maybe I was just tired or my mind was playing tricks on me. But then, the speakers that usually play soft music started emitting this weird, distorted sound, like someone whispering. I grabbed my stuff and bolted out of that place, not even bothering to lock up. I haven't gone back to the late shift at Burger King since. That night was just too creepy, and I can't shake the feeling that there's something in that empty restaurant that doesn't want to be alone. So a while back, a couple of buddies and I decided to hit up Burger King after catching a late movie. It was one of those late-night cravings that just couldn't be ignored. The drive-thru was closed, but the dining area was open, so we headed in. The place was practically empty, just a couple of other customers huddled in the corners. The low hum of the fluorescent lights mixed with the faint sounds of sizzling from the kitchen. It was one of those scenes you'd expect at a fast food joint late at night. Nothing out of the ordinary. As we sat down with our food, I noticed that one of the employees was kind of off. He had this vacant look in his eyes, like he was there physically, but his mind was somewhere else. He'd shuffle around, occasionally wiping down tables, but he seemed more like a ghost than an actual person. We started talking about random stuff, joking around as we scarfed down our burgers. But every now and then, we'd catch snippets of hushed conversations. It was like there were whispers floating in the air, just on the edge of our hearing. We looked around, but there was no one close enough to be talking in such low tones. The more we paid attention, the weirder it got. It was like those whispers were coming from all directions, as if the very walls were chattering secrets to each other. We laughed it off at first, thinking it was just our tired minds playing tricks on us. But then the employee, the one with the vacant eyes, came over to our table. He didn't say a word, just stood there with a creepy grin. His lips twitched, and he raised a finger to his lips, gesturing for us to be quiet. It was like he was telling us to listen to the whispers. I felt a shiver crawl down my spine, and my buddies and I exchanged uneasy glances. We gathered our stuff and got up to leave. As we walked out, I swear I heard those whispers grow louder, almost like they were following us. We got into the car, heartbeats still racing, and looked back at the Burger King. It was like the entire place was alive with murmurs, secrets too eerie to understand. We drove away, the echoes of those whispers lingering in our minds. And that's how we ended up with a new late-night rule. No more Burger King after dark.